Taking a shower, you have to stop, taking a shower and get up and go. If you're gonna go into the bathroom, you have to stop, go into the bathroom and go on call. If you're sleeping, we usually after 5 o'clock, if you wanna go to bed at 5 o'clock at night, you could. Most people went to bed at 10 or 11 at night. You get up at 6 or 7 in the morning. The next shift starts at 8 in the morning. You go out, another shift comes on, does the exact same thing you did. In the middle of the night, if you get a call, you had to make sure everybody got up and went on the call. So my job was to make sure all that happened and all that got taken, got done for each day. Some days, based on the call volume, maybe we didn't get our task for that day done. No, we would pass it on to the next day. That's all.
What did you find was the most challenging task in your job?
Dealing with the public with sad information. If somebody died or they lost their house or things like that. That was probably the hardest part is to give people bad news.
Do you recall any specific situation where you?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of times. There was probably the worst one was telling a young couple, probably no older than you guys, a young married couple that the baby they had in the crib passed away and didn't make it, and they thought that we pulled up and we could do something. There was nothing we could do, and I had to give them the information that the baby passed away.
Within doing that, obviously that tells me that you find, or that obviously the tasks that you handle, specifically this one, are probably some really hard ones.
Well, absolutely, but the way we get it around it is by going back and as a group finding something else to do to occupy our minds and discuss something else and try to get off our minds as quick as possible.
I guess the next question I really have is, within these situations like that you just talked about, how do you motivate your team members and your subordinates? Because I'm assuming that sometimes the people that are in that situation are in fighting that fire take it pretty hard.
Well, there's times it's a very physical job, and it could also be your 10th call of the day, your second fire of the day, so the whole day wears on you. How do you motivate guys? First of all, guys that take this job want to do that job. They want to be in that line of work, otherwise they wouldn't be there. They have a desire to help people. And so to motivate them to help people is not really the hard part. It's keeping them on task and keeping them focused is probably the toughest thing to do.
I'm going to switch a little bit, and I'm going to ask you about, we had you take the Kiersey test.
Sure.
And we see that you, after taking the test, are a guardian. And they gave you, I know after you took the test, they printed out information on the guardian. How do you feel that correlated with your personality type? Was it spot on? Was some things correct? Were some things off?
I think it was, I'm flattered that it came up that way, only because of the line of work that I was in for 32 years. Yes, we were kind of guardians. We were there to help, to do the jobs that nobody else wanted to do. We were there to help people when they needed help. So in that regard, it's somewhat flattering that my personality came with such. As far as the provider, I think the provider role is well, for my generation, is given to most men anyway, because they're expected to be the provider for the main family and go out and be the breadwinner. That role may have changed now with more women in the workforce and the culture changing. But that's how I felt. So I feel it's pretty spot on, I guess. I don't know what else to say about that.
I guess as coming up as guardian, how do you feel you protect your team against negative energy, negative situations?
I don't want to answer that. I don't know if there's ever a time that we do have negative energy. I think, like I discussed before we started rolling tape, is that luckily in my position, the group corrects any bad behavior. So if there's anybody that's spouting a negative energy, it's pretty much the group of individuals that try to correct him. And if not, then it's my role to go jump in and talk to the individual or correct his behavior. And it may have to be something that's done outside the group and outside the normal performance evaluation, where I may have to bring the guy into my office and say, hey, listen, I see you're going in a direction here that's not, not the same direction the group wants to go in, and you either need to change it or,
What kind of reprimands, let's say, in that situation, would occur? Like if someone were to just be in a really bad mindset and only be looking out for themselves. As a team leader, you're supposed to be that person that delegates that and kind of in a way straightens them out, but still makes them realize that you care about them and that they're an important asset at that time.
Well, like I said, first of all, if you wanted to keep it, if it was his first occurrence and you don't want to make a big thing about it, I may call him aside and talk to him. If the behavior, the poor behavior, or the negativity continued, and it affected the outcome of a call or affected his behavior on a call, then we can start the disciplinary process, and that usually starts with an oral reprimand. Right, oral reprimand has to be written in writing because you have to document the fact that it actually took place. So there was always confusion as to whether it was a written reprimand or an oral reprimand, because it was actually an oral reprimand that you wrote down. Next step is a written reprimand, and then after a written reprimand, it goes to the chief. Based on that, I guess the worst thing that could happen would be you would draw days off from the job, and days off the job may affect your pay. If it went further than that, it could be a suspension for a long period of time, a week, a month, a day, or 2 months. And then I guess eventually, if it really got bad and it went on for a long period of time, they could actually